Today I got to sit in on an exceptionally low-key closed door meeting of one of the guys that I'm working with right now. I'm sure a lot of you can guess it, but he was trying to restructure a lot of his portfolio because when he was buying a bunch of multifamily properties, right now he's about 10,000 apartments. He was buying them when he 10, 20, 30, even 30 years ago. And he was buying properties that were in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. But now those properties are pretty old, and older properties come with a lot of issues. Like the pipes will burst, they'll have a lot of other maintenance problems that newer builds obviously won't have just because the technology is better. And it just, things get worn down over time. So they're trying right now to do a restructuring of their portfolio and trade off basically $1 billion worth of some of their older builds. All of them have already made them a ridiculous amount of money. Every single one has been highly profitable. They've done a cash out refi, stripped the equity, getting an incredible cash flow. So they've gotten all of the tax benefits. Their investors have gotten all the tax benefits. So they could get additional benefits from buying something new. And the goal would be to just trade $1 billion of old stuff for $1 billion of new stuff. And the way that they're doing that is because a lot of their stuff is cash flowing nicely. It's already in great locations. It has incredible track records. It's going to be pretty easy. They'll sell them off in tranches. It will be pretty difficult to sell off $1 billion of real estate in one go. But this is not all definite. The way that this guy described it to me was it's like it's like if you were playing Monopoly and you were playing the same game for 30 years, all you're doing is taking the Monopoly board and changing it for a new one because you want something fresh. The old Monopoly board might get run down. That is all that they are doing. So they are also seeing a ton of cracks in the system. I can't go into too many of the details because this is quite confidential, but there are a lot of firms that are highly leveraged, highly over levered. Underwater on their properties because they had debt that they had non-fixed debt. Right now, if you guys don't know, interest rates over the past few years has gone up a very high degree, and prices of real estate have gone up with it. So a lot of these people, they bought highly priced real estate. At the same time, they had high priced debt. So that is a double whammy. So they are negative cash flowing on their new builds, especially construction debt right now is through the roof. So a lot of these firms that were just building over the past 3 years are screwed. Their deals are underwater. So Ken is looking to scoop up those that are trading on like 30, 40% discounts right now. You're not seeing it in the headlines because people like Ken are picking them up and it's still working out. But he says we're probably in inning two. And over the next 18 months, this is really going to flush through the market and it's going to provide a huge opportunity for people who were sitting on the sidelines collecting a ton of cash. Ken is also planning on raising over the next 24 months $500 million of equity, which would be able to buy him, let's say at a 50% loan to value, which is very, very low, would buy him another $1 billion worth of real estate. That's his goal over the next 2 years, to buy another $1 billion worth of real estate, all on a steep discount because he's buying from distressed sellers. So there are some really interesting things going on right now when you are sitting in the room. They were talking so high level, I didn't understand most of it because it would be like if I was talking my business to someone else who's in the exact same business. We would be having open-ended statements that we can fill the void for each other because you both understand what you're saying. But an outsider would have no clue what you guys are saying because you're speaking the industry lingo at an exceptionally high level. The actual what they are doing is not too complex, but the way that they're structuring and the way that they're going about it is hyper complex. And it was such a fun thing to do. It really puts a perspective on things because the numbers are just unreal. I have a little pitch deck that they are going to be using, and the numbers on these things are just ridiculous. $100 million of equity. This thing's went from 40 million to 65 million in the last 4 years or something. Like just looking at these numbers and trying to put them in perspective is so difficult. I mean, think about it. If you're making 100 grand a year, but these guys just are stripping away $150 million of equity. I mean, that is ridiculous to think about on a multitude of levels. So sitting in those kinds of rooms make me think so much bigger and so much higher terms of leverage. If you saw my video yesterday, this is the same guy that I'm going to be creating a product with him, and I have complete free reign. I basically told him, I thought of the highest number I could think of. We're going to be making 500 grand a month in 3 years. And he said, all right, let's do it. I over promised big time. So far, I've over delivered to what I've promised I would do so far by probably a 10x factor. So now I just got to figure out how to do this. But 3 years is a long time, and I'm pretty confident that we can get it done, especially just because of the kind of guy he is. He'll let me do and try absolutely anything I want. I know that I'm being very vague this video. It's because I don't want to give too many details, but I mean, this is where this is what I'm thinking about right now. I mean, sitting in that kind of meeting has such an intangible amount of value. That's why you just have to force yourself into the room. And I was not supposed to be in that meeting. Guys, this guy, one of the guys that came in that was helping them structure this, he flew in from San Francisco today. They went to the boardroom. I freaking walk in there and I sit down, up my laptop. I'm the only, I'm the youngest person in there by. I mean, the next youngest is probably 55 years old. Ken just gave me a little wink. He's like, "Nice job, buddy." And then he just introduced me at the end while they were talking. I was not supposed to be in that room. I did not get the invite. I just said, I know that this is going on today. I'm going to go to the office. I'm going to go sit in that frickin' room. I'm going to wait for them to get there and I'm going to learn every single thing that I can. And I wrote down every single word that they were saying and I need to research what the hell they were talking about that I didn't understand. So I do that every single time. A lot of the times I'll set up dinners between people I want to talk to. I remember I was trying to get dinner with Robert Kiyosaki, Ken, George, and few of the other guys, and I knew that there was some sort of dinner going on, but I know I didn't have the invite. George said that he was going to dinner with these guys, and this is actually this photo is on my Instagram. Though I remember the night very well. And I go to Ken and say, "Hey, dude, George told me to just call the Uber for us. We'll fire out to dinner." And I text George's assistant on the way. "Hey, can you add one more to the reservation?" So I got an Uber with Ken and Robert Kiyosaki, and because I said, "Oh, Ken, let's just fire out in the Uber. George is going to meet us there." And uh, I did that because I knew that no one would care if I was there. It's showing initiative. I mean, I being super young, you can kind of push the boundaries of over inviting yourself places because I am when I'm going to these places, I don't talk. You shut the hell up and you listen to every single word and you stay hyper focused. And I've done that just constantly, constantly, and only good things have came. Only I get 100 times more opportunities when I do that. That was actually partly that day is when I closed Ken as a client. That's partly why I remember it so well. So I would just say, force yourself into the damn room sometimes and apologize after. But the value is intangible, and the opportunities of getting into those types of rooms, they're endless. Endless. I can't even tell you guys how incredible I my life has turned out because of doing that. It's taking a very small risk, I would say, but a risk nonetheless that I don't know why I don't see most people willing to take. And I think it's the fear of rejection. I don't fear that at all when it comes to business. I mean, for me, I only will take things as lessons. If I push the boundaries, I'll say, all right, I won't do that again. Thus far, I have not. Uh, anyway, I that's probably the best piece of advice I will ever give. Just force yourself into the room somehow. Every single large business owner will respect you for it. It's the only, as long as you're not trying to tell people how much you know at those types of dinners. I shut the hell up. I shut the hell up. That is the thing. You know that you're the dumbest motherfucker in that room and just just soak in, be a sponge. That's where I've gotten the most value ever, and I'm continuously getting the most value doing that.